Alrighty, what's up, guys? DJ the Sports Blurred here again. Did y'all miss me? My last video, I put a video up detailing why I think Oklahoma is going to be in some trouble for the 2022/2023 season. And all you Oklahoma Sooner fanboys came out hot, but you know what they will say? A hit dog will holler. Before we get too far into this video, I want to say thanks for stopping in. And if you haven't already, please smash that like button and please consider subscribing too. Now, going back to OU for a second, I think anytime there's a transition and so many moving parts are going every which direction, you're going to have some growing pains. Nick Saban is probably the greatest, not even probably, Nick Saban is the greatest coach of all time, maybe in any sport. And look at what he did his first year in Alabama. He went 7-6. I think it's going to take Brent Venables at least a year or two to install his systems and get everyone to buy in. And I don't really know what that's so hard for the Oklahoma fans to understand. I'm not being pessimistic. I'm not taking a shot at your team. I just don't think they're going to be that great. Think about it. Kirby Smart, they just won a national championship down there in Georgia. He went 8-5 his first year in Georgia. Dabo Swinney went 9-5 his first year at Clemson. And really outside of Urban Meyer going 24-0 in his first 2 years at the Ohio State University, I think it's unheard of just a new coach coming in and picking up on a really good team and then taking that team to the next level, especially when a coach like Brent Venables, who's unproven, has to go back up a proven head coach in Lincoln Riley. You say what you want about the guy, but he has produced. Yeah, it hasn't ended up in a national championship. It's only like a handful of teams that have won a national championship. I think that if he stayed at Oklahoma, he probably would have won one. And also, not to mention, Brent Venables is going to be without his best player next year, or at least from his previous season. So, now that we've got that out the way, I want to give you my early top 4 playoff teams coming into the upcoming season. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with 2 teams that are going to finish outside the top 4. So it's going to be a total of 6. So at number 6, I'm going to go ahead and start with Texas A&M. I'm going to start with the Aggies of Texas A&M. They bring back a ton of talent, and they've paired it with potentially the greatest recruiting class of all time. They have 7 5-star recruits. They're number 1 over Bama, Georgia, Ohio State, and Texas. They have a crazy recruiting class, and their schedule is very manageable. They get a tough test early versus Miami at home, but they do have to go to Alabama midway through the season. And I'm thinking by that time that they have to go to Tuscaloosa, that some of their star freshmen and some of their younger players, and even the team in general, I think they're going to be gelling by that time. At number 5, I know this is going to surprise a couple people. I'm going to take Notre Dame Fighting Irish. So in my opinion, they have a tougher road to the playoffs than Texas A&M. And with a first-time head coach, it might be a mistake to put them this high. But I'm looking at some of the pieces they've added. They went out and got the Northwestern transfer, the cornerback, Brandon Joseph. He was a tremendous pickup for them that they got through the portal. And, it's kind of hard when you open up your season on the road at Ohio State and you also have to play at UNC and USC on the road. But they do get Clemson at home. And first-time head coach Marcus Freeman, I think he'll have his hands full. But if I know anything about Marcus Freeman, he's a former Buckeye. He's a great defensive coach. And I really believe that he'll put them in a really competitive spot all season. I think that every time you've looked at Notre Dame for the past few years, they've always been the bridesmaid. They've always been right there. And for whatever reason, they finished 5th, 6th, 7th. They don't have the benefit of playing in a conference. I know they're ACC related, but they're still going to be an independent. So they miss on the benefit of playing in a conference championship. And I think that hurts them late. And that's why a lot of times you'll find them outside the top 4. All right, let's move on. So at number 4, I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to go ahead and ride with the Clemson Tigers. It's easy to write them off, especially after a disappointing season this year. But if you really check them out, if you really watch them, they had a strong finish last year. They started off 4-3, but when you look at some of their losses, their first 3 losses, their only 3 losses, I guess I should say, They lost 10-3 versus Georgia. Georgia went ahead and won the national championship. They lost 21-27 at versus NC State. NC State went 9-3 very quietly last year, and finally they got beat 17-27 to Pitt. And I mean, Pitt potentially has a #1 quarterback in the 2022 draft. And you know, while Tony Elliott and Brent Venables are gone, they still have Dabo Swinney, who is a proven winner. I mean, just look at what he's built in Clemson. If you remember anything about what they had before, Clemson was not supposed to be this good. Clemson was just kind of always an average to above average team, never really pushed for any type of national championship contention. But look at what they've done year in and year out. I think that, and honestly, I think with him, what he's built there, he's probably going to be the head coach at Alabama once once Nick Saban is done. And so don't forget, the Tigers are going to be returning DJ Uiagalelei, who should be better in his second year as starter. And if not, you know, they have a couple pieces behind him, including 5-star freshman Cade Klubnik. Let's move on to number 3. We have, now this is definitely going to surprise a couple people. Number 3, Alabama Crimson Tide. I think we're starting to see a change in the guard now. I think that Alabama's still going to be very good. They're still going to be in playoff contention every year, that Nick Saban's going to be there. But I'm starting to think they're losing a little bit of their glamour. I mean, Alabama used to just take the field and used to just be afraid of them. And I don't think people are afraid of Alabama anymore. I'm looking at this light above my head. It kind of looks like I have a halo. That looks pretty cool. But to get back to what I was saying, I don't think people are afraid of Alabama. But they do bring back the best quarterback in college football, and they have an absolutely stacked roster. And one of the things I know about Alabama, man, they have cupcake schedules every year. You could say, oh, they play the SEC. The SEC is tough, don't get me wrong. But 3 of their first 4 opponents are Utah State, the University of Louisiana Monroe, and Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's an SEC team, but barely. Now, they do have a test. They have to play in Texas, at Texas in week 2. And believe it or not, I think it's going to be a competitive game. I think it's going to be a game where Texas is going to come out fired up. They're going to come out ready to rock and roll. And it's probably a game that you'll see Alabama pull away gradually in the second half. If you know anything about Alabama, Nick Saban is the pitcher of consistency. And I think he's going to have just another Bama team locked and ready to go. Now, at 2, I'm going to have the Ohio State Buckeyes. Now, I know they'll be seeing Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave catch passes in the NFL, but they're going to be returning the overall #1 offense back to Columbus. They have the best collection of quarterback, running back, and wide receiver. Quarterback, C.J. Stroud, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and also Travion Henderson. I think that is the best 1-2-3 punch combo in the nation. And I think they can be even more potent on offense than they were last year. I mean, they have Marvin Harrison Jr. Obviously, you guys know who his dad is. He caught 3 touchdowns in the Rose Bowl, you know, last game versus Utah. But the one thing I'll say about the Buckeyes is their Achilles heel last year was a suspect defense. Ryan Day went ahead and he cleaned house on the defensive side of the ball. He let go of Kerry Combs, who was a longtime coach. I mean, he coached in the pros. He was a DB coach. He was defensive coordinator. He let go of Al Washington, and he also let go of Matt Barnes. Now, if the defense can return back to the Silver Bullets, I mean, I think they can beat anyone, including traditional powerhouses like Georgia and Alabama. You know, the schedule's tough because they open up with Notre Dame, but they get to close at home in Columbus to those clowns up north. I don't even like saying their name. I think they're called the Wolverines. We just call them the team up north. And finally, at #1, is anybody surprised? Can you guess who it is? The Georgia Bulldogs. I mean, they come into the season this year as the newly crowned SEC Kings. I think this is their era. And I truly think this is their opportunity to start a new era where Alabama isn't the most dominant team in the SEC. Now, they open with Oregon in a neutral field game in Atlanta, Georgia. I don't know how you can call that game neutral field. I mean, they're playing in Atlanta, Georgia, and the University of Georgia is playing in Atlanta, Georgia, versus a team that has to fly across country to play in Georgia. But whatever. If they win this game, I think it's going to be it's going to start them off in the right direction. They really don't have much competition until the SEC championship game. I mean, they play in the SEC East, and they really don't have a team that can hang with them. Maybe Kentucky, maybe Florida. But Tennessee, no, they're not going to do anything. You know, they don't really have a team that can then hang with the Bulldogs. So those are my 4 teams that I think are going to be in the playoffs of next year. Again, at number 4, Clemson. At number 3, Alabama. At number 2, Ohio State. And then obviously the number 1 overall seed is going to be Georgia. Let me know what you think. Let me know if I'm right or wrong. Let me know where you think I'm off. If you Oklahoma fanboys are still in my comments, let me know what y'all think. I know you guys aren't going to be in the playoffs next year. You guys are going to be watching. So let me know what you guys think. My next video I'm going to upload is going to be a really good one, especially if you're a Buckeye fan. Actually, I'll leave you with the title. Should Ohio State be the number 1 ranked team going into the 2023 season? So that's going to be my next video. Again, please let me know what you guys think about the video I just uploaded. Let me know in your comments down below. I really appreciate all your time. I really appreciate you guys watching my videos. And thank you. And until next time, I have nothing left to say.